So I feel like, our teams have always been built around his needs. So it was kind of surprising to see, what was said.
I don't think the game's over.
Welcome into Triple Zeros, the anti-hot take sports show. I'm your host, Josh Buckhalter. Follow me on Twitter at JoshUBuck. Hit up the Facebook page, Clocker Sports website, clockersports.com. Email address, clockersports@gmail.com. And, of course, the Facebook page, Clocker Sports. And follow the show on Facebook and Twitter at 30spod, the number 30 and pod. That voice you heard was Joel Embiid talking about his, currently still at this point, teammate Ben Simmons, and saying some things that, some people are saying are all the right things. And I think they might be, conflating right and correct, but that's neither here nor there, or at least not at this point in time, because we got some other NBA stuff and really some NFL action that we got to get into first. So, the Cincinnati Bengals took on the Jacksonville Jaguars on Thursday Night Football in a game that was not great. It wasn't horrible. Got really interesting. I won't say good. Got interesting late as both teams kind of started finding their rhythm and getting some offense going. The Bengals ended up winning 24-21 on a game-winning field goal. Jacksonville falls to 0-4. I think they said this was Trevor Lawrence's most losses, more losses than he had in college and high school combined or something like that, or as many. One or the other. Here's the thing. It's a snooze fest of a game. I'm glad they got it out of the way now. Neither one of these teams are good. It wasn't great football. Good night for a couple of guys. You had T. Higgins out for the Bengals, so you got good nights for Tyler Boyd and for the tight end C.J. Uzomah. So good stuff for them. And good night for James Robinson as well of the Jaguars. And of course, it's not going well for Urban Meyer. We've been talking about him for a couple of maybe not. We haven't talked about him in a while, actually. But we had talked about him a few episodes ago and how he just has been looking drained. They actually noted that during the broadcast is that he's taking the losing a lot harder than Trevor Lawrence is. And, you don't expect either one of them to take it well, but it's just funny to hear him say it and acknowledge it because you can see it. Like, it's definitely taking a toll on him, and now to fall to 0-4, Urban's probably losing his damn mind. So that's not surprising in any sense, shape, or form. Moving on, though, there's still some other Week 4 stories that we got to get to because, honestly, listen, the game, it was a game. It was a game that took place. It happened. It definitely occurred. It was on the schedule. I saw it. Don't care. It was not interesting. I could not. I tried several times to follow the story. Oh, prayers up for DJ Chark. He fractured his ankle, I believe, in this game. Got rolled up on by a lineman. So speedy recovery, wishing on him. But that aside, this game had no interest to me whatsoever. It just did not move the needle. And so we move on. You got the 2-1 Tennessee Titans taking on the 0-3 Jets, and by the end of this week, they will be 0-4 because I don't see them beating the Titans. They're going to get a win at some point. I don't see them going 0-16, but they're definitely not beating the Titans. Listen, we could talk about how the Titans, haven't looked great to start the season. They're going to be without A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, I believe. I'm not sure. I think they both did not practice today. Have to double check on that, but the Jets are a mess, to say the least. Zach Wilson is getting the Sam Darnold treatment from opposing defenses, that is. And you for all the talk about, what Justin Fields got in one game, I would argue that getting the 9-1 game, as crappy as it was, might be better than being under siege 5 times plus a game. Right? 4, 3, 4, 5 times plus a game. I would imagine. Just because you can flush the one game. What did Jalen Hurts say after they lost to the Cowboys on Monday night? When you take a deuce, you don't look at it, you flush it. I don't know. That was a really odd moment to bring up that analogy, sir. We should all acknowledge that. I get it, and sometimes he's right, but sometimes you gotta make sure. Listen, I'm not here to judge how you view your deuce. All I'm saying is that was a very blanket statement for not a very blanket situation. Anyway, back to the situation at hand here. I just don't see the Jets being able to shake out the Titans, and so they're going to fall to 0-4, and you're going to start seeing the questions about Zach Wilson's ability to take all this. That's what's going to, because it's already happening, but with Sam Darnold and how he's thriving in Carolina, the Carolina Panthers, who are undefeated right now, by the way, you're going to see it start to pop up. I promise you. There's going to be questions about Robert Saleh. Never mind the fact that this was a crap roster from top to bottom. Like, just bare bones. So, everybody's going to be surprised, or not surprised. Everybody's going to be coming after these guys already. Maybe not everybody, but a good amount of people are going to be coming after these guys. And certainly people are going to be coming after Zach Wilson, who has at times looked overwhelmed. But he's a rookie. And as somebody pointed out, this is typically what rookies look like. What we've seen from Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, and the like, Justin Fields. It's the ups and downs, the shakiness. That's typical. The Dax and those other guys aren't typical. That's why you see, I think, guys like Carson Wentz and even Jared Goff now on their second team, because they just weren't the guy that initially people thought they were going to be. And that's, obviously you move on. So that being the case, I say again, Jets fall to 0-4. Now, moving on, Chiefs taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Both teams are 1-2. Andy Reid's current team taking on Andy Reid's old team. This is going to be a pretty interesting game because neither defense is good. And both offenses can strike. Now, obviously, the Chiefs have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. They're a better offense. But don't sleep on Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders. And you know what else? Philly can and will actually run the ball. The Chiefs did it, and they got some things going with Clyde Edwards-Helaire last game. But we know that Andy Reid also can have a tendency to forget about the run game, and just when you got a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, it can make sense to just go ahead and say, you know what, we're going to slang this bad boy around the yard. But in this game, I still see the Chiefs winning. I say all that to say I still see the Chiefs win. They've lost 2 in a row now. First time in Patrick Mahomes' career, he's below 500. I do not expect him to stay that way. Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts, I like you. You might be ready to go ahead and flush another deuce, my man. The roster's just not good right now. There are some questions about what you guys are trying to do and be on offense, and the defense hasn't been good in years. So there's some promise back there, but it's just not good. I see the Chiefs winning this one. I just don't see them falling to 1-3, and unfortunately for the Eagles, I can definitely see them falling to 1-3. So there'll be that. So far we are going Titans and we are going Chiefs. That's both away teams. Then we got the Panthers taking on the Cowboys in Dallas. This is a real test for both teams. The Panthers have kind of, I don't want to say skated by, but I don't think anybody's necessarily running around here acting like the Panthers are the world beaters just quite yet, even though they are undefeated, like I said. And with Sam Darnold, and now they just won a game without having, what's my guy? They're going to have to go without Chris McCaffrey coming up here in week 4. So that's going to be an issue for them to work out. But I don't think that'll slow them down because while I like what McCaffrey does, Chuba Hubbard is a good runner. He's a rookie. He's not the pass catcher. He's definitely not the player that McCaffrey is. But they have enough on offense outside of that to be able to get through this next week, especially going against a team like Dallas that can't stop a cold. Now, like I said, you got the Jets. The Saints are a good win. I don't know why we gloss over the win over the Saints, and not just a win, a dominant win, 26-7. The Panthers were over the Saints, and then they got the Texans. So I get 2 out of the 3 wins weren't necessarily against good teams at all, and one of them, the first one, week 1, was kind of close. But so far, in the next 2 games, after giving up 14 in the open, which isn't bad at all, they've given up 16 over the next 2 weeks. So 8 points a game. Like, you're doing something right. You're living right. So I just don't know why we're so quick to pass off their their undefeated ship. Is that a word? No? Okay, whatever. They're being undefeated just because of those 2 opponents. You can only play who's on your schedule, and as we've learned, week 1 is not a very good predictor of who's going to be good. The results are kind of sketchy for both teams, and so we kind of just have to take it in stride and move on and look at the rest of the body of work. And for the Panthers, I think there's enough there to say that, okay, this could be serious. Now, for the Cowboys, you're not seeing much difference except for they're still not stopping anybody. Well, you say that back because they definitely were stopping the Eagles for a good chunk of that Monday night game. But there's still the questions about the secondary. You're still going to get questions about the offensive line and the running game holding up over the course of the season. Can Dak hold up over the course of the season? If he does, he's going to be right back in the MVP discussion. And I don't see any reason why Dallas, as long as he's healthy, isn't a threat in the NFC. Now, I don't know how I would seed them with everybody else because, again, maybe I'll wait till after this week and that'll be a theme for the next week's show, which, by the way, I got to bring back the Mondays, man. There's too much going on, especially with NFL starting or NFL going on and NBA starting back up right now. I got to get some more content out there. So definitely got to look into trying to get the Mondays back. But like I said, you got the Cowboys now. See, here's the thing. Okay, Cowboys took that L against the Buccaneers, but then they went and beat the Chargers, right? That was in L.A., and then they beat Philly on Monday night in prime time and did it heavy-handedly, 41-21. Dallas has a better case, I guess, than Carolina does. And they're at home, so I'm going to take Dallas in this game. Get that out of the way right now. But the thing about Dallas is if their defense is really going to play as well as they played against Philly, look out, okay? And this goes for Carolina as well. Like, we're getting, see, the thing about Carolina is that they lost J.C. Horn and Christian McCaffrey for this little bit of time. Who knows when he'll be back? That's going to hurt them a lot. But when healthy, they're actually a much better team than I think I gave them credit for coming into the season. For Dallas, they're still kind of handicapped by some of their time management issues and stuff like that, Mike McCarthy, which brings us to Kellen Moore. And real briefly, I just want to say, Dallas, do not let Kellen Moore become the Jason Garrett. I'm sorry, the Sean Payton to your Jason Garrett, right? Whoever the hell the successor to Mike McCarthy will be, do not let it not be Kellen Moore. All right, that's what you did with Sean Payton. Look where that got you. Just saying, you got to keep him in house. That's a message to a lot of teams. My Bears do the same thing, so it's not just to you guys, but definitely don't let Kellen Moore, who understands Dak Prescott, who Dak Prescott seems to really like. Don't let him out of the building. Don't let him leave. If it means you gotta jettison some people so that he can stick around, you probably don't have to do that. Just go ahead and do that because my man knows how to call up a game plan. He knows how to dial up who and what and when. And so, yeah, don't let that happen again. Sorry, Mike McCarthy. Not really. Anyway, moving on. Give me the Cowboys. Like I said, so we're going Titans, Chiefs, Cowboys. Giants will take on the Saints. 0-3 Giants need a win. Joe Judge is on the hot seat already after talking crazy and looking crazy. And now the 2-1 Saints are in the dome. Jameis was rolling. Jameis looks like a professional. Jameis is buttoned up at the last presser after the game. So give me the Saints at that one because I just don't see as good as the Giants defense can be. The offense is so sketchy that on the road in New Orleans with the defense that can be solid itself, I just don't see it happening. So that's, yeah. Anyway, 2-1 Browns taking on the 1-2 Vikings. Kirk Cousins has been playing surprisingly well. Hasn't thrown an interception. That's going to change this weekend. The Browns are going to run down the Vikings' throat, and they're going to take that game, go to 3-1 over the then 1-3 Vikings. The 0-3 Lions will take on my beloved Chicago Bears, sitting at 1-2 right now. The Bears are threatening, or at least leaving it on the table, putting it out there in the ether that they could move to Arlington Heights. They've already submitted a purchase and sale agreement, which is an intent to buy or whatever, but it doesn't have to have a stadium on it, but it's a very real possibility. Now, I will say this, having it already raises the value of the franchise and all that other stuff, but I don't see there being any reason to purchase that much. This family, the McCaskey family, to purchase this plot of land without the intention of buying something tied in, or building something tied into the team, be it a Hall of Fame, a new headquarters, whatever the case may be, just doesn't seem to sit right that they will just get it out there. Now, I will say this. This is a family that have long been held. What's the word I'm looking for here? They've been viewed differently in that people kind of attribute their lackluster performance on the field and that they're operated mom and popish because it's a family operated business and it's their only source of income as a family. This would change that slightly. But still, if you're moving for a stadium. Now, back to the game. Don't be surprised if the Bears walk away 1-3 after this. I'm not saying it's going to happen, and I don't think it'll happen because the defense has really been good this year, and the offense should be better against Detroit than they were against Cleveland. Hopefully. That being said, this Lions team is 0-3. And they fought their asses off the entire time. You've seen them battle back against San Fran. You saw them hang with Green Bay early. You saw them lose on a game-winning field goal, history-making NFL record 66-yarder last week to lose the game on the play that many said should have been delay a game. So, and they won. They beat the Bears last time they played each other last season. So, I'm just saying, there's been rumors that Matt Nagy could be fired after this game if they don't win. I wouldn't rule it out, but I'd be surprised at the same time because but 0-3, and as I wrote for Last Run on Pro Football, you can check that out. It's already live. I find it hard to believe that you could lose to this team and then come back there and say that team hasn't bottomed. And once it bottoms, there's nothing else to do but get rid of everybody. So I won't rule it out. I just think it's unlikely that it's can. But I mean, man, the theme of my article was that they can't just barely win either. They kind of got to go in there and handle business because you sneak by and people are going to talk. Anyway, moving on. You got the 1-2 Texans taking on the I'm not going to pick the Bears game. I can't pick against the Bears, but I really can't in good faith and conscience. You know what? I'm not going to sit on the fence. Give me the Bears. Give me the Bears by a field goal. Ooh, that made me nervous to say out loud. Oh, man. All right, here we go. Moving on. The Texans at the Bills. Give me the Bills. What are we doing? Colts at the Dolphins. Tua's not playing. I don't believe Jacoby Brissett is a fighter. He wants to get revenge on the Colts. Carson Wentz, yeah, they're going to get their first win this week against Miami. In Miami, yeah, we'll say that. We'll go with the Colts getting off the schneid. Washington football team at 1-2 taking on the 1-2 Falcons. Falcons offense looked like it was starting to come around last week. Football team's defense has had some gaffes in recent weeks. We'll see which one of these teams can right the ship and keep it going that way this week. I'm going to go with the Falcons. Damn, I'm not confident in that pick at all. I am looking at the slate. I'm just like, you know what, man? I can't pick, so I'm going to default to home team. But just know when we come back to this one next week that I did not feel confident in picking the Falcons. But I'm going to. But I don't like it. But I will. But it sucks. But I did it. Anyway, Seahawks 1-2 at the 2-1 49ers. 49ers, they just make it happen. Doesn't matter who's at running back. Doesn't matter who's at quarterback. They just make it happen, and I think that they didn't make it happen against the Packers, did they? 37 seconds. You can't leave Aaron Rodgers with that much time. As any football fan, but in particular, a Bears fan can tell you, you cannot leave that man with more, as somebody told me today, more than single digits on the clock. And I argue that single digits, upwards of 7 seconds, is probably too much. And I don't know if I want 7 because it's lucky. I don't need to give him that. What we get? And they were smiling. That's what you get. That's how it happens. Cardinals. Give me the 49ers. Don't trust the Seahawks right now. 1-2. Don't trust them. Defense still sucks. Don't trust them. Cardinals 3-0 at the 3-0 Rams. Battle of the undefeateds. I trust Sean McVay and the Rams and Matthew Stafford far more than I trust Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury, and the Arizona Cardinals, which probably means that it'll be the Cardinals this weekend, but I'm taking the Rams to win that game. Steelers 1-2 at the Packers 2-1. Packers. They're cruising. Steelers look lost right now in the sauce. Give me the Green Bay Packers. Ew. Just kidding. Anyway, 2-1 Ravens at the 3-0 Broncos. Broncos are rolling, man, but they haven't played great competition. The Ravens found a way to win last week, and I think that they're going to do so again on the road this week in Mile High. Now, I won't be surprised if Vic finds something out to stop and slow Lamar down. He's dealing with bruised ribs, I believe. We'll see what's good with him on Friday. Have to check back in on that. But as it stands, I'm going to go with Baltimore. Don't feel great about that pick. I feel better about that pick than I do about the Falcons, but not great. Bucks 2-1 at the 1-2 Patriots on Sunday Night Football. Hey guys, have you heard Tom Brady's coming back to Foxboro? Maybe you haven't heard yet, but Tom Brady's going to come back to Foxboro this weekend. Did you know? Did you know that Tom Brady used to play in Foxboro with the Patriots, and now he's going to be back there? I don't know if you saw the TV screen, all the promos, the Hello from the Other Side Adele special cut. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? First of all, we're dealing with two dudes who aren't feeding into this at all. They're both giving you it's nothing. Tom Brady took the podium and looked like he was about to pass out. Okay? He is not worried about saying hello from the other side. He is worried about not crossing over to the other side. All right? You're doing too much. What are we doing? Dial it back. I get it. 20 years. 20 years together. 6 rings, 7 on his own. Ooh, he gonna go back. Do you think he wears all of them out there to practice? Do you think he wear them all out there for that warm-up? Just to show off to Bill? Hey, Bill, you don't have any of them on? Man, I brought my extra one. That's crazy. Just in passing? No? Okay. But it's too much. I don't need it. I don't need the extra. And I believe there's multiple cuts with different tracks underneath it. Like, it's so corny. It's so corny. It's so bad. But back to the game, because it's just bad. Sunday Night Football. Brady is gonna be. Hopefully he plays, because he didn't look great. Patriots out here cheating as it is, because Mac Jones has not looked great either. He's like a rookie. The Bucs are gonna crush them if Brady plays. If Brady doesn't play, all bets are off. But as it stands, I'm gonna go with the Bucs under the assumption that Brady will play. Raiders 3-0 at the Chargers 2-1. The Raiders have been surprisingly effective. This is something that's been built for the past couple of years, though. They don't look great doing it all the time, and you don't really talk about them much. But now that they're in Vegas, they're going to get a lot more coverage and a lot more love as the NFL tries to endear them to you. Endear you to them? Endear them to you. You know what I mean. And so that, to me, is not surprising. I do like what they've done. They've had some big wins, so it's not fluky. They're undefeated. Like, that's not just them backing in. But we'll see how long it lasts, because I feel like they do this a lot, where they kind of set us up for letdowns as the season wears on. They're taking on the Chargers, who are 2-1, and honestly, there's not much that I can qualm about with them. I don't have many issues with the Chargers. I just feel like they're a team. They're going to be good. We don't know how good, but they're good. And in this game, AFC West matchup, I think this might be the Raiders' first loss, because I like Justin Herbert and I like what the Chargers do. If Keenan Allen plays, I saw that he was questionable. We'll see. Josh Jacobson also might be out for the Raiders, but I think that has less of an impact, even though he's a big part of what they do because they like to run the ball with him. Under the assumption that he doesn't play, because I don't think I'm not sure. I have to check on him. If he doesn't play, I'm going to go with Chargers. If he plays, I'm still going to go with the Chargers, because I like their passing attack better, even though the Raiders have been there and their defense has stepped up big time. So we'll see what ends up playing out with that one on Monday Night Football. Big games. So we're going, what was it? Titans, Chiefs, Cowboys, Saints, Browns. I can't pick that Lions. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. I can't do it. Bills. We're going to go Colts, Falcons, 49ers, Rams, Packers, Ravens, Bucks, Chargers. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that last one's right. So that's what I'm going to ride with. And I still have to compile the totals, but we'll get there. Switching gears. Media Day happened around the NBA, and it was a thing that happened. There was a lot of conversations. Ben Simmons still wasn't there, and as you heard in the opener, before the show opened, actually, there's some people who are not necessarily pleased with it and don't really get him saying that he doesn't want to be there and feels like the fit is bad. Now, I've long held the stance that I think both sides are right in this argument, but that really just points to them needing to split. Ben is right that it's not a good fit, but it's mostly because He wants to be the focal point of the offense, of the team, and not just a part of it. And his game isn't conducive to that with a dominant player like Embiid on the floor. That's a Ben issue. That is not an Embiid issue. That is not a Philly issue. It is totally a Ben Simmons issue. That being said, it is an issue that impacts the other parties. And for whatever reason, every time Philly opens up their mouth, they swear up and down that they're trying to say nice things and they're trying to tell Ben how much they want him. And they say, hey, we want you here. And B specifically says, we're better with him. But there's so much other crap around it that it's buried. And all you really walk away with is feeling like a backhand compliment just came your way. And you're like, wait a minute, I think we have to fight now. Here's Joel Embiid and his comments about Ben Simmons and not showing up and saying that he doesn't want to be, that he doesn't think it's a good fit with them anymore. Here's just listen.
Like I said, it is disappointing, but I feel like, over the years, the way our team has been built to run. Like, you look at last year, you got the whole starting lineup shot. I was the world's three-point shooter of the starting lineup, and I shot 38% from three. We've always had shooters, and I feel like I can really play with anybody, and I can make anybody be better on the court. But I don't necessarily need shooters. But I feel like over the years, you look at when we signed out, it's because we needed a stretch five just to make sure that that was for him. And I most of my career I've had to kind of step out to the 3-point line quite a bit, which I don't mind. I like to be a basketball player. I like to do everything on the basketball court, but I feel like our teams have been built, whether it's the shooting needed, the stretch five and all that stuff. I feel like he's always had it here, and which they have it. You guys set, like I said, one of the best 3-point shooters ever. Danny Green, Tobias is a 40% 3-point shooter. Furkan coming off the bench. At times, Shake. I think he can be a better shooter, but he can get hot. We just added George, so I feel like our teams have always been built around his needs. So it was kind of surprising to see. I would say that even going back to, the reason we signed out is we got rid of Jimmy, which I still think it was a mistake, just to make sure that he needed the ball in his hands, and that's a decision they made. But like I said, it is surprising. But I'm really focused on the guys that are here. The situation is weird, disappointing, borderline kind of disrespectful to all the guys that are out here.
So there's a lot to unpack there. In all of that, he tried to say that Ben, we're obviously better. We're not better without him. We're better with him. But he spent most of that time talking about how, well, I don't need a lot of shooters, and I had and there's nothing he said there that was incorrect. I have to be clear about that. He was right. He's changed his game. They have accommodated Ben in many ways, but it still hasn't manifested in a way that's conducive to Ben. As funny as that may sound, I'm actually saying that because I just said that nothing Embiid said was wrong. But you also sit there and you throw in the Jimmy thing, and I thought that was a bad idea. And you talk about how you don't need shooters. Wait a minute, what does that got to do with anything? Like, there are unnecessary tidbits being placed in a lot of these comments. And you're just like, why did you say that? Well, now I got to wonder. And obviously, Ben is already feeling a certain type of way. So I want to say untenable, and I don't want to say they can't make it better and reconcile before the season starts. I would imagine he's going to play there. I don't think that I don't see you getting a return for him, and I don't see anybody offering what they really want for him, to be honest. But like, damn, dog, I don't need 3-point shooting. He was going. Listen. Joel Embiid is a troll, so it makes it hard to decipher whether or not he's being genuine or just another troll job. Like he threw in the shot at Shake Milton. What did Shake Milton do to deserve that stray about him being a streaky shooter? What does that got to do with anything? I didn't ask you that. Damn. So anyway, it's just hard to determine whether or not he's being honest, serious, or if he's playing around. I think he was being serious, but I can't sit here and say that all that is meant to say that Ben Simmons should stay around. Regardless of him saying at the end, I think we're better with him. That's not what it sounds like, because it sounds like you feel like they've made some bad decisions because of him, and that kind of, I don't know. It was weird. But that was just one, because there were several interesting media day stories as Zion Williamson said that things between he and the Pelicans are cool. Had a really awkward exchange with the reporter when he asked him about it, and he just kind of laughed and was like, I'm glad you asked me. Nobody's asked me. Now, that could be because he's been asked frequently, but it just was awkward at all. And he seemed like he was trying to put on a good front for everything, but there's been so much smoke that we wonder if there's fire. And honestly, doesn't make me a difference because he's not going to one of the teams that I would be interested in. But maybe he goes to Atlanta. I don't know. But he says things are fine. Said that David Griffin can't play the piano despite what the paper said. He said he didn't let nobody. See, that was weird because he said he didn't let him play the piano for him. What he looks like letting somebody play a piano for him, but then he said he can't play. So did he play? And he can't play. Whatever. That's beside the point. The point is Zion was talking, and then you had Karl-Anthony Towns, who, if you see the clip of this on Twitter, please go. I tweeted it out. Again, follow me on Twitter, Josh E. Buck. The man looks like he's at the end of season presser on a very draining season. Like, he starts off the clip waving the microphone, and he's just talking about how bad things have been his entire, how unstable they've been. And it's really disheartening. And it can't be good for the new ownership group, Mark Lowry and Alex Rodriguez, coming in to hear a player talking like that. And he signs it, seals it with him saying, I'm always a professional. Doesn't sound like he's ready to go necessarily, but doesn't sound like he would necessarily turn down the opportunity to be elsewhere either. Just because of how wild it's been up and down. And he noted when they fired their president, Gershon Rosas, last week, and he said, I thought it's been a quiet week. And then boom. And it just hits you because it's like, damn, my man, like, just check the clip out. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description. I typically forget those things, but I'll try to remember to put the link in the description. And it's a really it has to be unsettling to see that presser if you're a Wolves fan, because it just didn't sound encouraging at all. Speaking of not being encouraging, unvaccinated players who miss games will not be paid. That's relevant because you have several notable members of the NBA, several notable players in the NBA who are not vaccinated and are very vocal about it. Kyrie Irving has been getting flamed for liking some conspiracy theory stuff on the interwebs. Andrew Wiggins came out and questioned who people were to be asking him about his choices and what he puts in his body. Somebody tried to come out and spill some tea on him about smoking weed. Like, anybody cares that you smoke weed? Whatever. That's a stupid thing to point out. It was like the most messiest, stupidest thing. It was dumb. But then joining those two, Bradley Beal of the Washington Wizards, whose own teammate Spencer Dinwiddie noted that because he is vaccinated, that there's no controversy with him. That was an interesting thing to note when I heard him say that, because it just seemed like it was kind of unnecessary for him to say, especially knowing how his teammate is. But he said it. And then you have Jonathan Isaac and Michael Porter Jr., who've kind of been, hand in hand these kind of things for the past couple of years now, the anti-social justice warriors in the NBA. And not saying they're wrong, I'm just saying they're kind of they're the opposite of what everybody else has been doing with those types of things, and this is just the latest of them. Now, they have a lot more support this time, including one Senator Ted Cruz and a few other politicians, but I just, hey man, they won't be getting paid this year if they don't play the game. And a lot of stadiums and arenas have those in effect. And so we'll see how that ultimately plays out. This is not the last that you'll hear of that. I promise you that. That's for damn sure. And then lastly, people were kind of up in arms about Lonzo Ball, saying that his expectation was to play more of a traditional point guard role this season. Why? If Lonzo is bringing the ball to the floor, pushing the pace in transition, starting the break, those kind of things, right? finding teammates, and keeping the ball moving on offense when you're in the half court. Everything but necessarily setting the table in the half court. Would that qualify? I think that would qualify mostly because how many point guards are setting up the offense like that in the half court anyway? Usually, if they're not the best player, which most teams don't have them as the best player, those guys are bringing the ball up and getting the ball to the best player and then washing out, which is what the Bulls are going to have happen. So I just want to see people, I would like to see people take a little bit of common sense with this and think about what we're talking about here. You really think they're going to take the ball out of Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan's hands a lot for Lonzo? I love Lonzo Ball. I love his game. They're not taking the ball out of Zach's hands and DeMar's hands so that Lonzo can play the traditional point guard people think he will. I just can't see that happening. I see that happening about as much as I see the guy who said that the Bears are not going to be able to get a big multiplex on the, you know what? Separate idea. We'll leave that alone because that might not happen because it is the Bears we're talking about. Back to the Bulls. There's no way that they take the ball out of DeRozan, LaVine, and you still got Vooch. Like, so you're gonna put you're basically prioritizing Lonzo over all of those guys if you're gonna tell me that you think they're gonna let him operate as PG, operating like that in the half court. I just can't see it. I just can't see it. And I am willing to be proven wrong, but I just can't see it. That's going to do it for this episode of Triple Zeros. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at JoshyBuck. Hit the Facebook page, Clocker Sports, website, clockersports.com, and email address is clockersports@gmail.com. And, of course, you can always follow the show, 3 Zeros Pod, on Facebook and Twitter. That's at the number 3 Zeros and Pod. Of course, read the stuff. Last Run of Pro Football wrote about the Bears and their Arlington move and how a small win over the Lions won't be enough. Pimpin' Ain't Easy, and, of course, Soaring Down South, where I'm writing about Kevin Huerter's My Basketball Journey interview with the brother, Michael C. Wright of NBA.com. Good stuff on that today. So be sure to check that out as well. And until the very next time, man, you already know what it is. I am gone.